Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Real Heroes Show. You got Cory and Nick with you here as always, and as I promised in my 4K disc review yesterday, today is a very spoiler-heavy movie review of A Quiet Place Part 2. Again, spoilers for both the first Quiet Place and the second one. Nick, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing well. Not as quiet, but doing well.
Yeah, you feeling the buzz of some of these new movies that are coming out? It looks like The Green Knight and The Suicide Squad are getting some pretty serious critical praise.
Yeah,
are the movies back?
At least for the time being, it's good to see. Hopefully it continues that way. It's because it's good for us, not just as fans of these movies, but good for our what we got going on here in the Real Heroes Show. And
we need shit to talk about. So.
Yeah, I mean we both enjoy what we do, and especially when we cover good quality content, or maybe if we cover something that we think is going to be good and doesn't turn out to be.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 84.
Or the Tomorrow War.
Even though both got greenlit for sequels, or
stop it,
sequels and thirds. Anyway, I think that the trend is on the rise. So
the second half of this year is pretty stacked with movies. It's going to be pretty insane. Between that and some of the TV shows that are on or are coming is pretty out of this world. So so without for anybody who wants to watch this video that doesn't want to be spoiled because they have not seen A Quiet Place Part 2 yet, would you recommend it to a friend, yes or no?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
100%. So
100%.
That's it. If you don't want to hear spoilers, then fuck you, we're done, it's spoiler time. So holy shit, this movie kicked so much ass. I was hyped for it. I had seen that it was good, and sequels they're always tough. You never know if it's going to be as good as or eclipse the original, but I thought this one was right up there with the first one. It might have even been better. And I'll share my reasons why in a moment, but what did you like about this movie?
Oh man, a few things. I'd say, for the sake of, I saw a little clip of like a featurette of John Krasinski saying that they listen to the fans, which is always good, and for the most part. But for the sake of, hey, we want to know more about this world. We want some more deets. What are the details about A Quiet Place's world that this apocalyptic world that they live in, and he said that they answered all the questions, and I was like, John, I love you, man, but you didn't
because you need to be able to make more of them.
Exactly. Purposefully, I think they didn't include everything, but I mean, I like the fact that this movie is both a prequel and a sequel. And it starts on day one, and how everything kind of goes in, and how it all takes place. And Mrs. Abbott, she's a badass from the get-go.
You damn tootin'.
So but of course it kind of sets the stage of Cillian Murphy, with having him appear and seeing sort of like what his character is like, and leading right into his guy's such an amazing actor. Holy shit. His performance was awesome. Outstanding. It made the movie for me just like I liked John Krasinski's performance in the first movie, but it's like it didn't replace it, even though I thought that's kind of ironic. But
it was an upgrade. It wasn't a replacement.
Like
no offense to Krasinski. That's one of my favorite points, but
like I like how in the movie I can't think of her name, but the deaf girl, she says
Millicent Simmons.
Yeah, she says like you'll never be what my dad was. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like maybe in the show, but as an actor, oh my god. Because then I saw some other featurettes, like all the other actors had basically said just to see his performance and to see what he brought to the stage. And even when John Krasinski said, like, he approached him and asked him and was just floored by the fact that he said yes, because he was a fan. He saw the first movie and was all hyped about it when he was approached to it. And so again, like, whenever you have an actor that wants to be in a movie and is a fan of something that came before them, that it really helps. And something else is I really liked a lot of the cinematography in this movie, like these master shots where you see the scope, the perspective of someone looking down the rifle, and you see the Abbott's gonna break through, and then she says run, and then the kid falls in the bear trap, and holy shit, I felt that. Like, I was like,
bro,
oh my god. And she's just like, shh. It's like, how could you be quiet in a time like that? I would be cursing my ass off, and knowing well that I'm probably dead is at the same time or soon thereafter.
So it's story time for Cory's household and how this went when we watched that. So we didn't see it in theaters. We waited and
same.
Obviously watched it on 4K Blu-ray. Did the review, subscribe, hey. So we're sitting on the couch, and it's myself and my girlfriend, and we have 2 cats that at night they like to come sit on the couch with us. So all 4 of us sit on the couch, and this scene starts, and Emily Blunt's character hits the tripwire. Yeah. And that's like the first fuck
yeah, right,
moment.
exactly.
And you're like, oh no, this is just gonna get bad.
Yep.
So the bear trap thing happens, and my girlfriend goes like super loud. Both cats freak out because they don't like loud noises. They both jump. I have scratches on my arms and legs from last night from when they jumped off of us from that jump scare. And you know what? It was worth it. It was great. All the jump scares in this movie were done absolutely perfectly. Like, sometimes they're done in other movies, and it's like just this weird, like, it's just like a cheap way to jolt somebody's heart or whatever. But like these are all built with like this just rife amount of tension, and it's coming, but you don't know what it's going to be or how it's going to happen. And there's a few times like it's either the bear trap, or it's like a couple birds in the train, or it's that carcass in the train that falls down, or like they're everywhere, and they're done so well. It's like the whole movie keeps you on the edge of your seat, which is awesome. It's great.
Yeah, it's like you could kind of predict a couple things, right? Like she's pushing on the bathroom door or whatever on the train. I'm like, there's probably a dead body that's behind it. That's why she can't get into it. And sure enough, it comes back, and we were quietly talking amongst ourselves, watching it at home, and of course my girlfriend is laying on the couch next to me, and every time there's a jump scare, she would kick in the nuts. And so like this like kept kicking my damn leg, and I was like, would you stop it? Like, it's like, you're gonna hurt me. Just kidding, I made a steal. But she there was a couple of times I was just like, oh shit, like that was cool. Like, like I was never frightened by any means, but again, just like the jumpiness of it, like, and especially when I love the takes between how they kind of put you in the world of the hearing and then the deaf.
Yes.
Right. Like and one of the things is like she's going out on her own, and she's like, it's perfect for me, because I can be quiet. Well, yes and no, right? Because perfect example was the train, and where she might not hear anything, but damn sure that alien or creature knows what's going on, and and you can kind of just like see it like when in the background, and you're just looking at her in the foreground, and it's just kind of crouching. I'm like, oh crap, but
this movie also did a great job scaring you with other stuff though too. Like it's not just the creatures that were scary. There's the lack of oxygen in that furnace with the baby and the son.
Yeah,
which is just
that pissed me off. I was like, you're such an idiot. Oh my god, stupid kids are stupid.
Kids are dumb. Oh my god, story, which it makes for great horror though, because
it does
for them to get into really perilous
thriller
situations.
Suspense. Right.
And then outside of that, it was also like the weird creepy bayou people on the dock that showed up and tried to kill Cillian Murphy and Millicent Simmons' characters. Like all that stuff, man. Like it was terrific. Like it was world building. So the first movie had it was in this bubble. They're basically in their house or the surrounding area the whole time. And now the second movie does what a second movie does. It starts to slowly expand outside of that world. And Cillian Murphy's character saying, I've seen the people that are out there and how this has changed them. They're not worth saving, and that all comes to fruition, right?
Right.
And that to me is good writing, because
yes, I agree.
It's very easy to tell the audience that and then forget about it. But if you tell the audience about that and then make good on it, and you show that usually the skeptic type character is usually wrong, right? Or there's something that happens that makes them come around to an idea. He was absolutely right in this situation. Those people,
boy, was he ever
super weird and literally just tried to kill them.
Yeah.
My girlfriend was like, were they cannibals? And I was like, you know what? I don't know. They might have been.
I got some big Walking Dead vibes off of it, because they reminded me of the cannibals in The Walking Dead. I'm like,
yeah, I got some Walking Dead. I also got The Last of Us. Have you played that game?
I've never played them, but I've seen enough. So yeah. I mean, I could see that too. Like, and and the weird thing was that you see this little creature, or it's a little girl that runs by. I'm like, what was that? Yeah. And and I'm like, they can see her, right? And she's kind of just sitting there, and then like she suckers him in, and
she's trained.
Yeah, she has a script and a plot to play, and did just that. And I'm like, that, oh my god, that was mean. That was such a nasty move. Just like,
she had that rope around his neck in like 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's a noose. It's a noose that has a bunch of bottles on it to make noise, and like the slightest movement just and I mean, there was a ton of them. Like, where the hell they all come from?
Yep.
But boy, did they get wrecked when that creature came by, just swatting.
Yep.
Like just dead. And I will say, the question was like, can they swim? They can't.
They can't, except they can get on a boat, and then that boat can.
They can apparently. Yeah, they can drift
to the island, and then.
When there's that moment there when you're like, you kind of just feel like at peace, and like, I didn't want to look to see how much time was left on the movie, right? Because if you're in a theater, you can't. But I'm like, oh my god, this is how it's going to end, or
like a cliffhanger type thing,
right? Like, is the cliffhanger and the three, like, they have to go back and get the baby, the kid, and the mother, the rest of the Abbotts. How does that all take place? Or are they going to try to do that and something's going to happen and they don't? Of course, something else happened, and
far worse.
And as Emmett, right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit, and just runs, and just is telling everyone to get inside.
And in typical horror fashion, that moment happens right after his character gets like his first actual dose of peace and tranquility in like a year and a half. He's standing on that beach. He can breathe. He's got the drawing of his kid. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he hears a noise and he's like, motherfucker. And then all hell breaks loose, and it's good stuff. But I want to talk specifically about the scene you just mentioned where the guys out by the dock get messed up, because that to me is one of the best examples of cross-cutting I've seen in a movie in a long time. So you've got everything that's going on the dock happening at the same time as everything in the steel factory with Emily Blunt's character, and there's water dripping that they focus on,
right?
And then they go to a water place on the dock, and then she sets off the oxygen tank and it causes fire, and then the aliens show up and fire happens on the dock.
Yep.
And then she sets off the sprinkler because of the fire, and then Cillian Murphy's character is underwater, and it's like it mirrors each scene perfectly, and then they cut at all the perfect times. I thought it was like just expert level filmmaking.
The back and forth was wonderful,
incredible
at that point. Like it's and again, it's regardless of what time of the movie you're watching at, like the suspense even in two separate locations is just as high and super important, because it's certain death is technically on the table. And I mean, again, like just the brilliance of acting from Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt, and it's like, oh my god, is the baby dead? You know, like,
yep.
Is the kid dead? And sure enough, like, thank God they weren't, because that would have been super tragic. You know, it's like, great. So the baby they saved in the first movie is now dead because it ran out of oxygen in this furnace because the kid forgot to put the towel down on the lock. Meanwhile, you know, it's like, dude, it's crazy. Like,
but then at the same time, so you got that cross-cutting with like peril and doom in the middle.
Right.
You get it again at the end, but it's like the two kids making their way to make the kill on both of the alien creatures, and it's like, you know what's gonna happen. You know they're gonna get theirs, and it's like a really cool passing of the torch, because in the first movie it's Emily Blunt's character who gets to, you know, put a bullet through the head of the creature and kill it.
Right.
In this movie it's the two kids, and they're getting close, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna happen. But at the same time, the way they're cutting back and forth, the musical score is building up. It's just like, it's just perfectly done for me. And again, just like the first one, it just ends right after that. There's no like super neat little ribbon that they tie a bow on or anything at the end. It's just like, okay, they killed two more, we'll see you in the third one. Like, whenever that comes out, because you know they're going to make a third one. That's like an inevitability at this point. But
yeah, like, in the way it ends, where again they're still over on the mainland, and Emmett and the girl, they're on this island with a far less population, but still, you know, works for the most part. And they've got a plan now with the radio tower and the frequency. And I, you know, when Cillian Murphy, you know, his character's like, you know, he tries to shut the door so she can get the job done. I'm like, please don't kill him. Like, you already killed off, you know, John Krasinski.
Well, and it kind of mirrored how Krasinski's character died in the first one.
Exactly. It's always like deja vu here, you know.
But then they flip the script on it, and
they just
he gets to live. His leg gets pretty.
Yeah, he's slashed. Yeah, I'm like, so are they gonna repair his leg, or is that gonna get a little choppy?
They
But
may have to amputate.
Yeah, I'm like, because what doctors are around, especially on that island, to save it? I mean,
right.
You know, much less treat the infection from an alien creature. But
well, same thing with the kid. Like, you never see his leg get taped up or anything.
Right.
She just goes and gets some drugs for him, and that's it. So
yeah, she mended it. However, I'm like, that bone's definitely broken.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows? It's fiction. It's movie. So who cares? But I mean,
throw your logic out the window.
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend about it, and he was like, it's absurd. And I was like, yeah, it is absurd, because like in reality, you'd like fart in your sleep one night and then you die. Right? Like,
dude, people that snore,
right? Like, you're done, because you have no control over yourself at that point. But you know, it's a horror film. It's a high concept horror film. It's fine. To me, I love it. I was talking with my girlfriend about this after the movie, and I think it's so great that the two modern masters of horror are Jim from The Office and the guy from Key and Peele. Like, how great is that? Like, if you would have told your past self like 10 years ago that there are going to be 4 movies, Quiet Place Part 2, Get Out, and Us, that are widely regarded as like the 4 best horror movies of the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And that they were made by those guys, you'd be like, nah, not even close. Or the name of Jordan Peele's new movie, Nope.
Right.
It's great. I love that, and I think it's so cool that we're seeing a new renaissance of horror films with cool concepts that they're bold, they make bold choices, they incorporate cool stuff that you wouldn't normally think of from like a slasher film, or, you know, like a Michael Myers type thing or whatever.
Right.
And it's really cool for the genre. I think it's great and kind of pushes the boundaries.
I agree.
So was there anything that like didn't hit for you?
I mean, I wouldn't say this is so much of like a bad thing, right? Because you can't explain everything in the sequel. You know, especially with Paramount pushing for more movies, because you've had, you know, success in the first one. Now they've had success in the second one. So do you write it all in there with the event of like saying, no, we don't want to do more? But, you know, I did some Googling, and saw that Paramount has a tentative release date for a third movie on March 31st, 2023. However, I think the caveat about this, and again, this is expanding the world and kind of doing what The Walking Dead did with saying, cool, this takes place here with the Abbotts, but this third movie might take place somewhere else and not include the Abbotts.
So is it like a spin-off type thing?
Yeah, essentially. Like here's what's happening on another part of the world. I forget the name of the director that Krasinski approached or wanted or had asked to see if he would be willing to do it.
Interesting.
And so I wonder if this is going to be a spin-off, and then maybe to wrap up the trilogy circling the Abbott family would happen, because again, it's like, well, this cuts off to another part of the world and a spin-off, but what happened at that point? Like, did they eventually get the signal working, to tell everyone else, like, hey, we have a solution to defeat these creatures? Because it's like, is this worldwide? How many? Because we only see like one comet kind of just come in, and then that was it.
Right. And
it's sort of like, by the time the comet or whatever it was, thing in the sky, like, you don't really hear a crash or anything. But to the moment where the cop car comes up and the guy starts talking to Krasinski, and that was the first jump moment. I was like, holy shit! Like,
came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and then he just starts running, and it's sort of like, again, if the comet or whatever fell, ship, whatever they came in on, that thing had to have moved fast enough out of it to get to that part.
Sure.
To be drawn to the sirens, So there's still a lot we don't know about these creatures, and is it like this weird Tomorrow War type thing, like they were sent from another place, or does that just so I'm really intrigued by it. Like, I think it's cool. It's not 100% new and creative, but I think you could still put a twist on it enough to make it work.
So I think the first one, there's 3 creatures that they call out, and then they kill one of them, which would leave 2.
Right.
But then in this movie, they kill at least 3. So there's more of them out there than what they had originally thought in the first movie. So it'll be interesting to see.
They killed 4, actually.
Are there 4? Okay, because I know that there was the one at the steel plant at the beginning, the one at the steel plant at the end, and the one at the radio station at least.
And the one that drowned.
Oh, and there's the one that drowns. So so at least 4. So we don't really know how many of these
7 that have died between.
There are.
Actually, if you include I guess there's 5, because the one that dies on day 1 that Emily Blunt kills. So we know that 8 have died total. I will add this. The one, it was very creepy, and I think just this goes to the writing, a little bit more backstory, the delivery by I always mess up his name, the actor's name. They call him, and the credits, the man on the island. It's like Ujaman.
Oh, Jamin Hansu or whatever.
Yeah.
He's in Guardians of the Galaxy and Shazam.
Yeah, dude, he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's always been great, but when he's kind of like I don't know, it seems like the leader of the island or something like that, like the shepherd, if you will. And he's telling the story to Emmett about how they had the ships. And then he was like, we had a solution to get off the island, but it was when people turned on themselves that they came, and only 2 ships out of 7 made it out that day. Yeah. And it was just like, I'm thinking in my head, just imagining this, like you see like these big bay ships, line up where people can just pile in, and just seeing these creatures just slash through them like butter, like nothing, like paper, right? And then just like seeing how you could potentially have nightmares every single day, and immense PTSD because he was there, he made it out, and it's and
his character's name is Man on Island.
Yeah, Man on Island. So it's like, you gotta give him a name,
not
right?
Even important enough to have a name.
Yeah, like
God.
I mean, he didn't make it, which I was hoping he would, but he got unfortunately. When they're right at the finish line too, it's like maybe we lost it. What if he goes back to the village? I'm like, nah, man. Like you gotta keep going, buddy. You gotta keep going. But yeah, again, just painting more imagery, more backstory of what happened. Like, and yeah, you know, I could totally see that happening in our life, in reality, where humans would just be so damn selfish. And
we've seen it in the last year.
Well, yeah, like the people just don't know how to, you know, like to, like, look, everyone needs to be quiet, get on the board, because these creatures are going to murder and slay everyone. Like, I mean, at that point, I would just jump in the damn water and be like, when the boat takes off, be like, you know, hey, someone throw me a freaking rope or a raft or something like a, you know, a life preserver, you know, and pick me up. But like, I'd take my chances with sharks over those things, you know?
Yeah. And like real world wise, this movie cost about $55 million to make. So far worldwide, it's made a little bit over 290 million.
Wow.
And given the fact that we're still in a pandemic, that's a great sign for Paramount to throw John Krasinski however much money he wants to make a third one.
Yeah.
I mean, you compare that to some of these other movies that have come out that they made no money at all. You know, horror tends to be something though in situations like this where you can film stuff a little bit cheaper than, you know, like a big Marvel movie, and they come out, you know, they come out strong. I think, for example, the new Old movie that M. Night Shyamalan made that just came out last weekend. I think they said that, that only cost $18 million to make, and it's already made $25.5 million back in its first weekend. So like,
there you go.
Horror is something that's always good for the box office. People love it, and you know, this was just another great example.
Prime example, exactly.
I think the one thing I disliked about this one was it loosely followed the structure of the first one. Yeah. But it just kind of flipped the script a couple of times.
Right.
However, that's like a super nitpicky thing. I love the fact that it was a short movie again. It's like an hour and 25 minutes. It got in, did its thing, and got out. And I think that if it was any longer than that, audiences might like turn against it, because you can only be so tense for so long without feeling like physically uncomfortable. So keeping them short and sweet, I think, is perfect. It leaves people wanting more. It did exactly what it wanted to, I think, and I thought it was a super successful film. So let's wrap this guy up. Score it out of 10.
I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5, honestly.
8.5. I was gonna say like 8.75 was where I was leaning. Like I think I liked it a little better than the first one, just because the rules have already been established, and now we get to just be in that world and expand upon it a little bit. So like I probably would have thrown, like, I didn't want to give it like a 9 off the bat. Like I think depending on what else they could do in the future, like they might do better, knowing even what we know, and like kind of expecting certain things too. But you know, I think it was definitely as good, if not better, than the first one, you know, just because it did more, like you said. It kind of followed, you know, what the first movie did, but still did a little bit more. And then just, again, the acting, everything, the sound. I will say too, more of the creatures too. So we got to see a lot. They had more screen time, which I was like, well, I like that. Well, they had tripled the budget of the first movie. So exactly. It's probably all went into CGI on the creatures. But I will say one thing in regards to viewing this movie. I'm glad I watched it at home. And I said this after I watched the first one too, because I didn't see the first one in theaters either. I watched it. I did, home. And all those scenes that are so quiet, if there was like one person in the theater that like ruffled their popcorn or like turned a candy box upside down or something, they'd have been taking me out in handcuffs, because it's like you'd ruin the entire experience of that movie. Is the fact that you're just like sitting there stewing in your own silence. And like imagine if like someone's phone rang during one of the, I would go ballistic, and pissed. It would be bad. So
I will say, when I remember when I saw the first one, last thing I'll say, I do remember, and I think it was kind of the enjoyment of like maybe the flip side experience where hearing other people get scared.
Sure, that's great. Yeah,
you know, like
super fun. Yeah.
Like it's always fun because I'm like, I jumped too. Like that was a cool fucking part, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still kind of had that too because we had a very small viewing party. But
right.
Yeah, you had your cats flip their shits.
And
so
the same way that some people had their skin torn up in the movie, I had my skin torn up. In real life. It was good fun. So yeah, so I think that's gonna do it for us for this one. But now it's your turn, everybody. We would love to hear your thoughts on this film. So drop us a comment below. Let us know if you enjoyed this one, if you thought it was better than the first one, or if it was worse than the first one, and if you think a third one is in the works, and if so, are you excited to see it? You can also go ahead and support us as always for free. All you have to do is subscribe, like the video, turn on your notifications, tell your friends. If you think we're a bunch of idiots, drop us a comment and tell us we're a bunch of idiots, because it does great things for the YouTube algorithm, and then more people will see this stuff. We had a ton of new subscribers so far this month, and we're so excited that
Thank you.
All of you are on board. It's kind of incredible to think that instead of talking to ourselves, we're now talking to like 225 other people every time we do these, which is really just amazing, and we can't thank you enough for all the support. We will be back tomorrow, have a review of episode 14. Gosh, we're almost done with season 1 of the Bad Batch. Good chance we'll have some Green Knight content on the channel next week. Ted Lasso, Suicide Squad, more Bad Batch. Marvel's What If comes out in 2 weeks. The machine never stops. It's going to be here.
Neither will we.
We, for better or for worse, or how good we are or bad we are at this, we're going to keep doing it. So please stay tuned for all those things. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Peace.